need that guy. And I think Ilia Topuria and Islam might be that for each other. So while you may not like each other, you may need each other to go to the next level.
So you're telling me right now you think he beats Islam?
I think he beats Islam.
Oh my God.
I always thought he would beat Islam. Here's why. Because I think Islam had struggled with in the Volkanovski fight, the very first Volkanovski fight, he struggled with getting underneath Alexander Volkanovski.
I said earlier this week that if Islam loses that fight, he wouldn't give the opportunity for Islam to fight for his belt again. Is that something you'd bypass? Because that seems like such a big fight to make.
I mean, this is all talk.
Speculative.
You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly.
But I imagine that's a fight you guys would want to make at some point. I mean, just the magnitude
Sure.
of it.
I mean, I'd make that fight tomorrow.
Daniel has just reacted to Ilia Topuria versus Islam Makhachev potential matchup, and if Ilia can surpass Islam in P4P rankings. However, Daniel Cormier and Din Thomas debated over who deserves to be called the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. Din leaned toward Ilia Topuria, pointing to his style and the problems he could cause for Islam Makhachev.
So you're telling me right now you think he beats Islam?
I think he beats Islam.
Oh my God.
I always thought he would beat Islam. Here's why. Because I think Islam had struggled with in the Volkanovski fight, the very first Volkanovski fight, he struggled with getting underneath Alexander Volkanovski. Islam struggled to get underneath him to be able to take him down. He's going to have a hard time getting underneath Topuria. He's going to have a hard time getting underneath Topuria to take him down. If you don't take him down, he's getting knocked out.
Cormier, on the other hand, stood by Islam as the top pound-for-pound fighter. He argued that if Islam moves up in weight and wins, especially against someone like Della Maddalena, it would prove his dominance across divisions.
So I would imagine that you don't agree with my next point then, because I was going to say he is the #1 pound-for-pound fighter today. But if Islam is able to beat Della Maddalena, it flips again. And then Islam goes back to #1 pound for pound. Only because it is, Dean. Dean, listen. Only because it is. Fighting style will then be proven to go up to the next weight class. So then Islam will have done everything Topuria has done at a heavier weight, 4 title defenses at 155, and then the new champion at welterweight. So yes, I agree. He is pound for pound #1 today. But I think the moment if Islam is able to win, he then goes back to pound for pound #1.
Din Thomas and Daniel Cormier continued debating whether a win over Della Maddalena would make Islam Makhachev the top pound-for-pound fighter. Din dismissed the idea, saying Jack lacked the resume and legacy to make such a win meaningful.
Absolutely not. Because a win over Della Maddalena doesn't really prove it. I mean, in fact, Jack was like ranked 7 until he won the belt.
But this
Jack's not a Hall of Famer, like the way he don't have the strength to schedule the Ilia guy.
Cormier argued that Ilia Topuria has not faced the same level of challenge and is favored in every fight except against Islam. He said winning a second title should prove Islam's greatness. Din disagreed, saying Ilia's odds reflect his skill and that Islam would need to beat a legend like Usman to truly earn the top spot.
Ilia right now will only fight fights he's supposed to win until he fights Islam, because every one of his challengers right now, he's -600 against Patty. He's -300 against Arman. He's -350 against Justin. Only person he's an underdog to is Makhachev. So if Makhachev becomes the welterweight champ, doesn't he go back to pound for pound #1, Dean?
Absolutely not. The fact that Ilia is such a strong favorite already says enough about how good we think he is.
I think he's great too.
And if Makhachev beats Della Maddalena, that to me, that's not really the feather in his cap that he needs. He needs to beat a stronger opponent. I think he needs to beat a Hall of Famer. If he were to knock out Kamaru Usman, that would be different.
However, Daniel Cormier praised Ilia Topuria as a great fighter who has handled himself well. He questioned the crowd's boos, saying Ilia has done nothing wrong and carries himself with respect. While people compare him to Conor McGregor, Cormier noted Ilia's behavior outside the cage is very different.
All right, guys, so it's time for my final thought. Ilia Topuria is great. I tell you one thing. It don't matter if you love him or you hate him. I don't understand why so many were booing him over the course of last week, when in reality, all he has done is the right thing. I get it. There are a lot of comparisons to Conor McGregor, but there's a lot of differences in Ilia Topuria. He has not carried himself in the way that McGregor did. So while there are similarities in the fight career, we have to understand who Ilia Topuria has shown us to be as the man is vastly different. So while the actions are great inside the octagon, to this point, all he has shown us is great actions outside of the octagon.
Cormier also spoke about the tension between Ilia Topuria and fans from Dagestan, admitting the relationship may be strained but believing the respect is still there. He highlighted Ilia's confidence and presence, saying it reflects a fighter who fully believes in his path. Cormier added that Ilia's current run is as impressive as anything seen in the sport in recent years.
Now I know my great friends out in Dagestan may not have the best relationship with him, but I do know if I know these guys, they respect what he has done inside the octagon. We'll see what happens in the future. But as of today, just acknowledge that this kid is great and he's different. And what he's doing to this point is as good as anything we have seen in a really long time. That confidence, that smile, that walk lets you know that you are watching an individual who believes that only success lies ahead of him every time they step into the octagon.
In another podcast, Daniel Cormier said that just like Conor McGregor and Khabib Nurmagomedov needed each other to reach new heights, Ilia Topuria and Islam Makhachev could be the next great rivalry. He explained that even if they do not like each other, they might need each other to take their careers to the next level.
You need that guy. And I think Ilia Topuria and Islam might be that for each other. So while you may not like each other, you may need each other to go to the next level. So I appreciate Conor for helping Khabib achieve the life that he has today.
Moreover, Robert Whittaker acknowledged Ilia Topuria is the UFC's biggest star right now and deserves the top pound-for-pound spot. He credited Topuria's momentum and impressive wins over Volkanovski, Holloway, and Oliveira, along with his move up in weight, as key reasons for his rise. He still gave credit to Islam Makhachev, saying he's an amazing fighter and belongs right up there with Topuria, but he noted that Islam's last fight was against a replacement opponent, which didn't carry the same impact. In Whittaker's view, Topuria's timing, performances, and hype have clearly made him the top guy for now. Furthermore, Dana White responded to Ilia Topuria's comments about possibly refusing Islam Makhachev a title shot if he loses, calling it just talk. He said the UFC would still want to make that fight, noting how big and exciting it would be for fans.
Ilia's win, everyone's really excited to potentially see a future fight with him and Islam. I know that's the fight that people wanted. Ilia said earlier this week that if Islam loses that fight, he wouldn't give the opportunity for Islam to fight for his belt again. Is that something you'd bypass? Because that seems like such a big fight to make.
I mean, this is all talk.
Speculative.
You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly.
But I imagine that's a fight you guys would want to make at some point. I mean, just the magnitude
Sure.
of it.
I mean, I'd make that fight tomorrow.
Earlier, Daniel Cormier said Islam Makhachev is aiming to build a strong legacy, but sometimes feels underappreciated. He mentioned that fans expecting a fight with Ilia Topuria might be disappointed, as Khabib's team only takes fights they fully support. Cormier added that their words should be taken seriously because they always speak with honesty.
Khabib is about as straight a shooter as you're ever going to find. I'm telling you, when he's mad at me, he tells me. When he's mad at someone else, he tells you. He doesn't hide. So when you hear him say things publicly, take it as fact. This isn't him posturing. This isn't these guys trying to raise the price on a fight or anything. This is a true emotion, a true feeling, because honestly, that's how these guys operate. Islam has title fight victories, but they're Volkanovski, huge name of the featherweight, Dustin Poirier, name, right? And he probably felt the love after Renato Moicano, right? On short notice. So of his 4 fights, there are a lot of situations where he just didn't probably feel the love. And if you're trying to build a legacy, you got to feel that love. The update should not feel good for people that support the idea that Ilia Topuria should fight next. I'm just being honest with you, because I'm telling you, I know these dudes. I know these dudes, and I know when they talk to you, you might as well listen, because they're telling you the truth. Love it or hate it, they're telling you the truth. Dude ain't doing what he doesn't want to do.
Moreover, Demetrius Johnson broke down the potential matchup, noting that Islam Makhachev as a southpaw will likely rely on body kicks, movement, and feints to manage distance. He also suggested Islam might use his judo to bring the fight to the ground and work toward a submission.
Islam's a southpaw, so he's gonna probably throw body kicks to keep his arms busy, keep a distance, move, feint, maybe use some judo to take him down and try to get him to the ground and try to submit him. But, once again, like I have to see You know, I have to see what Islam does to JDM.
He highlighted Ilia Toporia's striking danger, explaining that once Ilia finds his range, he becomes a serious threat. Even if it takes time, Ilia usually finds a way to land. The key question, Demetrius said, is whether Islam can avoid that danger zone or chooses to engage there.
But, you know, I know the one thing that's the factor is that Ilia is always going to focus on getting to the right spot and find his opponents. When he gets there, he's going to unload. If Ilia can't get there, then he's going to figure out another way to get there. So the question is, how does everybody avoid that sweet spot against Ilia? That's the question, because Ilia is going to fight in a 25-minute fight. That's what it comes down to. And then you go from like, hey, how does Islam keep Ilia away from that spot, or does Islam meet him there? Right? There's so much, you know, that goes into it, and my brain is all over the place. So for me to give like a clear-cut answer, I just, you know, I'm just like, I'm running around in circles.
Corey Sandhagen said he favors Ilia Topuria in a fight against Islam Makhachev. He believes Ilya's physical build would make takedowns difficult for Islam, and if the fight stays standing, Ilia holds a clear advantage. Sandhagen also praised Ilya's defense and said he doesn't think Islam could do much damage.
I honestly think Ilia would win that fight.
Let me get your breakdown of that fight.
I'm gonna actually go against, I think, what most people say, and I honestly think Ilia would win that fight. I think his like stature is going to be hard to take down for Islam, and I think if those two are standing, I just think that Ilia is a way dangerous guy standing, and I just can't really see Islam like hurting him because his guard is real good, and I think Ilia will win that one.
Bilal Muhammad said Ilia Topuria showed solid grappling against Charles Oliveira, but facing Islam Makhachev would be a much tougher challenge. He believes Islam's pressure, control, and takedowns would push Ilia into deep waters, especially testing his cardio in the later rounds.
Obviously, the fight everybody wants to see is him and Islam. He showed that he does have wrestling defense. He defended Oliveira's takedowns on the ground. He passed his guard. He got to good positions on the ground. I know people are saying, oh, he got up from the ground, he didn't play the guard. It's like, he played the ground a little bit, then he got up, and then he knocked him out. So I don't know what you guys want. Everybody they're never satisfied, but I mean, he looked great. For me, when I look at that matchup and I break it down, I think Islam is very good with defense and with distance. If he's close, he's grappling. He's not staying in that brawling zone that Topuria loves. If he's within grabbing your range, he's grabbing you. And I don't care if Topuria is able to defend the first or second takedown. Islam's gonna keep you there. He's gonna push you on the cage. If I'm in Islam's corner, that's what I'm doing. I'm keeping him there, especially for the first, second, third round, trying to initiate that takedown. Oliveira got the body lock pretty early. Islam is really good there with the trips, with the body locks, with the single legs there. I think he would have continued grappling there, and it would have been a lot more interesting. It would have definitely got past the first round, and we would have seen how Topuria held up. He didn't really need to show his cardio.
He added that the fight should happen and would be exciting, noting it's not just a striker versus grappler matchup since Islam has improved his striking. Bilal expects Ilia to pressure Islam and try to control the cage, where Islam is less comfortable. He also praised Islam's kicks and ability to stay out of boxing range unless grappling.
That one's a fun one, man. I'm excited for it. If it does happen, I do think it needs to happen. Stylistically, I don't think it's grappler against striker. Islam showed his last couple fights that he is comfortable on the feet. He's fought the shorter guy in Volkanovski, and he's played a little bit striking, showed moments in that fight where he knocked him out with a head kick. And then the Dustin fight, he showed his boxing. He showed that he can hit on the feet. I think with Topuria, who does have really good grappling, really good wrestling, he's gonna wanna push Islam backwards, keeping Islam on his back foot, keeping Islam's against the cage where he's uncomfortable, and he's really good with his feinting.
Moreover, Benail Dariush said he favors Islam Makhachev in a potential fight with Ilia Topuria due to Islam's size and his skill in blending distance control with takedowns. He believes Islam's smart use of kicks and wrestling could give Ilia real problems. However, Dariush admitted that with Elia's power, he wouldn't be surprised if he ended up knocking Islam out.
I think it would still go the same. I think, Islam has such a big size advantage, and if he, distance kicks, takedown, rinse and repeat, if he continues to mix those things up, I think it would be a difficult fight for Ilia. But from what I saw, it wouldn't be surprise me if he was able to put Makhachev's lights out too.
However, Belal Muhammad lastly said both fighters are probably already in talks with the UFC to make the fight happen. He believes Ilya is rated fairly, not overhyped or overlooked, and credited him for earning respect with knockout wins over Holloway, Volkanovski, and Oliveira.
On the other side, Islam is really good with his kicks. If he mixes the kicks up low, body high, Islam's not going to be in that boxing range unless he's grabbing you. I'm sure both of them are on the call or are on the line right now talking to Hunter or Dana, and they're trying to work that fight. Is Topuria underrated or overrated? I mean, I think he's rated right? He's your last 3 wins, be a knockout of Holloway, who's never been knocked out before, to knock out Volk, who looked great at the last fight, and then now just to knock out Oliveira at 155 upper weight class. I mean, how can you deny the guy? He talks and he says what he's gonna do and he does it. So you gotta respect him, you gotta give it to him. But yeah, I don't think he's underrated at all.
Arman Tsarukyan confidently stated that if Islam Makhachev had fought Ilia Topuria at UFC 317, it would have ended in a knockout. He believes Islam is performing on another level and sees a major shift coming in the sport. While he respects Islam's skills, Arman made it clear that his own goal is to rise above everyone and become the #1 fighter in the world.
What do you think would have happened if Ilya fought Islam this weekend?
Islam Makhachev.
He would have beaten him?
By TKO.
Oh, wow. Really?
No, I mean, that's a different level of fighters.
You think so? Wow.
You can't compare Ilya versus Islam.
Really? I have Ilya #1 pound for pound now.
Yes, because Islam not champion anymore right now.
Right.
But when he gets the second title, he's gonna be pound for pound #1.
So you think he beats Jack?
He beats Jack.
Yeah.
Became a pound for pound #1. I'll be pound for pound #2 champion lightweight division, and then beat Islam and became a pound for pound #1.
Wow, I love it. You have it all mapped out.
Cody Brundage praised Ilia Topuria's knockout wins over Max Holloway and Alexander Volkanovski, saying a victory over Islam Makhachev would push him into the conversation as one of the greatest fighters ever, possibly even top 3. He highlighted how dominant Ilia has been and the impact another big win could have on his legacy.
It's a crazy fight. We talked about that. Yusuf obviously at 145, he's on a tear. He's making his come up, and he wants that Ilya fight so bad. They already fought once, but we were talking about if Ilya goes in and knocks out Islam Makhachev, like how high do we put him on the GOAT list? Right? Like to me, I'm like, John Jones is #1 no matter what. I don't think anybody could surpass John Jones for a long time. Obviously it would take a ton, but everyone in my circle at least is like, man, if he goes and knocks out Islam after knocking out Holloway, after knocking out Volk, he's got to be up there like top 3.
Brundage also noted that Ilya's grappling is often underrated, pointing out his strong wrestling background and jiu-jitsu skills. Still, he slightly favored Islam to win due to the size difference, calling it a key factor in a close matchup. He expects the fight to be action-packed and highly competitive.
And he could do it. I think people, like, he's been knocking all these people out. People really sleep on Ilya's grappling. He's a super high-level black belt with really good submissions, really good wrestling. And so I think people are worried, like saying, like, oh, well, he'll get out wrestled, but he has great wrestling. So, man, I don't know. I would have to go with Islam because he's bigger, and I think weight maybe plays a factor when you have 2 really highly skilled guys, but that would be an absolute banger of a fight.
Georges St-Pierre praised both Ilia Topuria and Islam Makhachev, calling them extremely well-rounded and talented fighters. He highlighted Islam's ability to control opponents with ease, often dropping them with minimal effort, and pointed to his relentless pressure and elite grappling as key strengths that make the matchup exciting for fans.
Yeah, I mean, that's another same thing. I mean, Topuria, when he touches, it falls, and on the other side, Makhachev, he applies so much pressure. He's an elite grappler. I mean, they're both good in every areas. It's a great fight for the fans.
In another comment, St-Pierre acknowledged the high level of skill both men bring, but reminded fans that no one is unbeatable. He said that even the most dominant fighters are human, and in a sport like MMA, one small mistake can lead to defeat, making every fight unpredictable.
His skill set are amazing. I mean, he's champion for a reason, but nobody is invincible. Everybody can lose, everybody can make a mistake.
Mateusz Gamrot shared his thoughts on a possible fight between Ilia Topuria and Islam Makhachev, calling it an exciting matchup but expressing skepticism about Topuria's chances. He pointed out the clear size difference, saying Islam's physical strength and all-around skill set give him a major edge. Gamrot emphasized that to truly challenge someone like Islam, a fighter needs comparable size and power, which he believes Topuria lacks.
For me, interesting fight, but but I don't know. Topuria is small guy. Islam is really big guy, and I don't think that Topuria has changed against him. You know, like if you wanna fight with Islam, you have to be like big guy, like similar like him, because he's good everywhere. But if your body is smaller than him, so you don't have change for sure.
Dustin Poirier said that if Ilia Topuria can defend Islam Makhachev's takedowns, his striking and power could give him an advantage. He acknowledged Islam's improved striking and clever movement, recalling how Islam fought at a tricky range in their own matchup. Still, Poirier believes the size gap would be a major obstacle for Topuria and could decide the outcome.
How do you think he would do against Islam?
I mean, if he can stop the takedowns, I think his boxing is better than Islam's. I think he's a bigger puncher. Yeah. Islam's technique is getting a lot better on the feet. He's kind of crafty and elusive. When I fought him, you know, he fought at a weird range, but I think the size difference is just too much, I believe.
That's it for today's video. So what are your thoughts on this? What do you think about their potential matchup? Share your thoughts in the comment section and make sure to subscribe and like if you enjoyed the video. Also, check out our other videos on the screen right now.